This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody. WFO. Joe Castello back with you, recapping the Heartland NHRA Nationals, the Menard's Heartland NHRA Nationals, presented by Pet Armor. Those guys were pretty stoked, by the way. I got to hang out with the folks from Menard's. And here in South Florida, we don't have Menards, right? But I drove by a couple of them, and there are massive stores, and they did a great job. We really appreciate them. They were out there on the starting line. It was awesome. Always love when new companies. Let's hope they continue to support and expand, and there's a lot of great possibilities with all those companies inside Menards. On this show today, we're going to hear from Big D, Dallas Glenn, going to be on the show after his second career NHRA Camping World Pro Stock victory, got the win over Kid Chaos. And the semifinal battles against Elite were awesome. And this will be the final show of the week as I get ready for the Lucas Oil Nationals in Brainerd. Last night, I was on the Power Hour, the Competition Plus Power Hour with Slam and Sam and Monday Morning Racer. And they asked me so many questions. It was great. And kind of freestyle conversation about just drag racing and what it needs and what it takes and what we want it to be and what it is and what's possible. Really great stuff. You should definitely check that out at some point. Along with John Force yesterday, I'm getting so many high-level complimentary texts about the John Force interview. And what's crazy is he was sitting at the gate at an airport, speaking lowly and telling me stories about his career. And it was just a totally different side of John Force. And it was great. He referenced our guest today. He referenced Dallas, and he talked about a little interaction that they had in the media center. We'll ask Dallas about it. And talked about Brittany. Those of you wondering about Brittany, we have strategized with the John Force Racing public relations team. And she's traveling, and it would be like a challenge to get her on this week. And so what we decided was we're going to have Brittany on before the U.S. Nationals. So this Brittany Force victory interview will kick it to a week or two down the road, right before the U.S. Nationals, and she'll be part of our pre-Indy hype machine. So fans of Brittany, listen to the John interview, and then we'll have Brittany on right before the big go. Yeah. And we'll get him in. Same with Matt Smith, right? We haven't forgotten about Matt Smith. We'll get him in, certainly. I want to tell you about the people who make it possible for me to do this show before we bring on Dallas, who is out there at KB Racing. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, for instance. The Dragster Adventure, frankhawley.com. I'm telling you all the time. I tell you every day. Why do I tell you every day? Because I'm going to break you down. No, it's because this is a very good and worthwhile thing to do that will change your perspective from a spectator to a racer. You'll understand exactly what's going on, and it's such a value at $399. You can even set up a race for a little bit more, and then you'll know what competition is like. They travel around the country. You get to hang with Frank, ask him questions, all that stuff. Be sure to tell him you heard about it on WFO Radio, by the way, frankhawley.com. And Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. We're going to be ramping up a lot of the stuff we do with Total Seal over the next few races, so stick around with that. Matt Hartford doing a great job on the whole burn down, putting out like a statement, right? Like his press team put out a statement. And the commentary has been excellent and has done a lot to change a lot of people's minds from, angry and emotional to thoughtful and analytical. But really, none of that matters. Just build an engine with Total Seal piston rings, right? Over 40% of your engine's friction comes from your piston rings. Think about that. It does a very important job of keeping the fuel-air mixture and the oil away from each other. That's pretty important in the world of engines. And check them out, totalseal.com. You can get the Hidden Horsepower podcast there as well. Samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. The next generation coming up through Samtech. They're learning machining. They're learning to be a crew member. They're learning how to program CNC machines, blockhead CNC programs, motorsport EFI tuning, all at samtech.edu, where when you see a car with Samtech on the side, that's not because they sponsor it. It's because that car is the curriculum and the students are working on it, which is just awesome. I absolutely love it. And my friend Marvin Rodak, rodakscoffeeandgrills.com. He'll be down there at the Texas Motorplex for the Stampede of Speed and the AAA Texas Fall Nationals, but also roasting up coffee, fresh per your order, highly caffeinated coffee that gets me fired up. Why is WFO Joe so fired up? It's because of Rodak's Coffee. Certainly, 817-924-6821. Plus our great friends at Nitro Fish and our WFO store. We shout out to all of them. I see you guys are on social media. Yep. Let's get them on there. Oh, I missed you, Dallas. There he is. Big D, Dallas Glenn. You were fixing your hair, Dallas.
Yeah, there's not much hair up here anymore, and it's going away rapidly.
Why is that, Dallas? Is it because of genetics or because you wear a helmet all the time?
Probably both. I don't know if you guys see my dad on the starting line, but he's pretty bald as well up there. So I'm gonna say it's probably more genetics than anything, but it's also it's could be the stress of working on your own car and racing at the same time.
You said that in the media center. Let's talk about that. First of all, this is the first time back since your first win, and I got so much positive feedback about your interview on WFO. Just like, what a nice personality, like a nice person, nice kid, like told us the stories, like very comfortable, very open with who he is and why he's doing it and why he's so passionate. And it's great that you're back again to give us a debrief on this. I just wanted to forward that feedback from the WFO universe.
Oh, well, thank you guys. I mean, I appreciate everybody that tuned in and tunes in regularly and is a fan. It's because of the fans that we go out there and do this every weekend. I mean, if there was no fans showing up at any of these races, I doubt very many people would be out here racing.
Well, exactly. And it makes you question. Force said yesterday, he just really emphasized what you just said, that it's the cheer of the crowd, like the emphasis, the energy, the person-to-person energy, like, hey, go get him, that kind of stuff. And you had kind of a fun and funny interaction with John in the media center. Had you ever, how many times had you talked with John prior to that?
Just the brief moments of passing when I won Charlotte was pretty much it. I don't think John Force and I crossed paths too often. Him being in funny car and super famous like he is, and me being in pro stock. So, the interaction was pretty funny in the media center. He said it several times. He would look at me, he'd look around, he'd look at me again, and he would go, "That kid's too good looking to drive a funny car."
Exactly. And so wait a second, this is actually, and I admit, there are certain things that I'm pretty good at and there's certain things that I'm not great at. And remember, so you won with Force the first time.
Yeah, my first win, he won as well, and I think that was his first win in a long time.
That all of a sudden though, wait a second, Force and Dallas Glenn are connected somehow. 100% of your wins have been John Force wins also. And that's it's kind of odd. It's kind of won the last one in Top Fuel, and Brittany won this one. So the only connection is with John.
Yeah, I told him that when we went onto the podium with the champagne. I was like, last time I won, you won as well. And he goes, well, we need to keep doing this. I'm like, well, I agree with you.
Exactly. So we got a great audience out there on social media. Everybody just saying what's up, checking in. Blake from Wyoming saying what's up. Kev is out there in the UK. Hope Dallas is ready for the burn down question. Are you ready for the burn? This is
that seems to be a hot topic right now.
But isn't it great that a weekend that John wins and Brittany wins together? The topic is pro stock. That's what everybody wants to talk about. Good, bad, accurate, inaccurate, correct, incorrect. That's opinions. They're talking about pro stock. I think that's great for the class.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it definitely got everybody's attention there. Just on all sides. It's been a long time since we had a real good burn down, and I think this one will probably be remembered for forever. Exactly.
I want to delve into your win. I want to make that the big deal. But since we're on the burn down, let's talk about it. I was on, I always joke about I want to be more of an entertainer than a journalist. Because journalists have to go and probe people and ask tough questions. And when the journalist comes around, people are like, oh, here comes that guy trying to get information out of me. And when the entertainer comes around, people are like, hey, this guy, let's have a drink. And that's where I would rather. But on this one, I had to be both. And so I reached out to Brad Hardy, and I talked to Greg, and I talked to Tim, and I talked to, Hartford, and I talked to a bunch of different people, getting opinions, making sure that my initial opinion was in the neighborhood. And honestly, I moved off my initial opinion. Initially, I was super disappointed, but then last night I got to go back and watch the video, and I just jotted down when things happened, right? 24 seconds in, Reinhardt mentions there's a burn down for the first time. And then 46 seconds in, Brad gives his first, like, physical indication that he was like aware, like, guys, all right, come on. Then 2:38 in, Brad tells him, all right, go in. And then 3:18 in, he orders them, you go in. And they didn't go in. And then at 3:38, they shut him off. This was according to the clock that NHRA put up on their YouTube page.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of changed my opinion a little bit, doing an analysis, studying it. Like 20 seconds after a forceful directive by the starter, you haven't complied. What do we expect to happen? Give me your perspective.
I mean, my opinion, my unprofessional opinion, 3 minutes and 38 seconds is beyond long enough. Everybody's point's been made. It's when the starter gives you that sort of forceful directive that you need to go in, it's, regardless of anything, you need to go in. And besides, I mean, at that point, I doubt either of them had enough fuel to even make it to the finish line. These fuel cells are not very big. And plus, the engines, they don't like being very hot. And I'm sure both of them were very hot. I'm not sure. I mean, pretty much every burn down I've ever seen, in past years has never really, I don't think everyone's really even met the 3-minute mark before. And this one was a considerable amount after that. So, trying to go and cite all the old, look at this burn down, look how this was handled. It's like, well, they're none of them, you can't really compare them because they never reached that point. I mean, I love a good burn down. Absolutely. I would, I encourage them. It's great for the fans. Fans love them, just like big burnouts and all the drama. But yeah, that was. I'm not sure why they. I guess they were hoping that they were going to get shut off and moved to the back. I'm not exactly sure, or maybe they were just that stubborn that no matter what, they were not going in first. So I'm not sure where the logic was to that. I know it probably hurt Mason a little more because he's in points. But yeah, I mean, I think if I ever had a burn down in the starter, after the first or second time he tells me to go in, it doesn't matter whether I want to be in first or second. It's time to race.
So on that note, we and so many people came over to me, and it's because I'm available and on the starting line, and I can do this and talk about it. I'm not going to say who it is, because maybe they don't want that, or maybe they'll come on the show in the future and talk about it. But here, I'm going to paraphrase the opinion. Mm-hmm. We always say we want controversy, and then when controversy comes, we don't accept the controversy. And that was kind of my opinion in the first 30 seconds afterward. But now, after some detailed study and all that, I think we still got the controversy. Yeah. People are still talking about it. But what I am wondering and worried about is this going to be a cooler on everybody else? Like, would you ever, all right, you're a driver now, you're a crew guy now, you've worked on the cars, you've busted your knuckles, you're up early, you stay late, you said you're doing all the same work you ever did, plus driving now. And so at the end of the day, you're tired, you're worn out. Do you see yourself ever putting yourself into any kind of starting line, gamesmanship, tricky Ricky stuff, burn down, staging duel? Because people like it. It's part of the entertainer job, but you know how much it takes to build the engines, and you know how hard they are to keep together. So give me your view on that, because, man, I want another burn down real soon. I just don't want it to end in a double DQ.
Yeah. As far as the how that burn down ended, I guess in hindsight, maybe it would have been, I guess, better or less controversial if NHRA had maybe shut them off at minute 45 or 2 minutes or something like that, and gave them a warning, said, hey, you got 30 seconds. If you're not in, you're both disqualified. I guess maybe if they had a warning, they might have heated a little bit better. But as far as me playing games, I usually just kind of run my own race until somebody starts playing games with me. And if somebody wants to play games with me, it doesn't bother me at all, because I take it as a sign of respect. It means that they feel threatened that they have to play a game, and I'm totally fine with that. And I'm not above playing games myself. If you want to play a game with me, I'm more than happy to return the favor. So as far as a really long burn down, I don't think I could last near that long, because I know what goes into the engine. I've helped put engines in, I've helped work on them, and I don't want to risk hurting any of those engines. I've had a lot of different engines in my car in the last few races, and getting the water temp that high or possibly running out of fuel and leaning it out there's no good that can come of it. So as far as a really super long burn down, like 3-minute mark, I don't think you'll ever see me in that position. I'll definitely be in before that. But yeah, I mean, I won't say that you won't ever see me in a minute or a minute and a half or something like that.
Good answer, Dallas Glenn. Wow, that's what I want to hear. I really want to see one of these. Nothing contrived, but I want to see the racers say, like Brad Hardy had to make a statement, like, "Hey, man, I'm in control. Like, you guys can't just ignore me. I gave you a directive, and you ignored it. Like, come on." And I get that, but he just showed you that he let it go 318. The guy's open to gamesmanship. He said flat out he's a fan of the sport. He enjoys that kind of stuff. You can do it. You can play. You can taunt. You can do whatever you want to do, but it can't last 3 minutes. It should, like you said, 40 seconds, man. The fans give the announcer an opportunity to hype it up. Here they go, whatever.
By 1 minute, the fans are cheering. I mean, everybody's into it by a minute, and it's always a game. I think some of what may have took away from this one a little bit, aside from the fact that it was being so long, is there really wasn't. It was just between first pair, Bruno and Mason. I don't know of any, if there was some side controversy out of that I don't know about, but it wasn't like there was a major points battle. It wasn't like it was a final round. There wasn't like, I guess, I couldn't see what was to be gained, entirely from it. I mean, I know that there's a lot of attention and the fans love that, but as a competitor, standpoint, I didn't see what running the risk of being disqualified like that. I guess I just didn't see why to run it out that long.
Well, exactly. And these are all good questions, right? Like, did they think that, man, this will be good for the sport? Let's get into something. Let's start a little something, because there's been a lot of opportunities where that has happened, and it has worked. It has worked at their expense, but it has worked. And I thank them for that aspect of it.
Yeah, I'm all for
it. or maybe they thought, yeah, they'll shut us off, and they got a different response. Or maybe it was slightly poorly executed. Everybody was a little just behind, because everyone, just like you, just like me, just like everyone, we were surprised. Where's this coming from? First pair, first round out, burn down. What? That is unusual. All right, let's move forward, though. Thank you for your honesty and all of that. Let's talk about your race, where came in as a number 4 qualifier in what was perhaps a historically close field. What a great race within a race that was qualifying. Pro Stock has been fun and healthy, and everybody was like on their heels trying to make the most of every qualifying run. Alan Przinski's unbelievable run for him to make the show, that was great. It was high-level entertainment. You qualified 4th. Just tell me how you got to that point.
No, it was a lot of work and a struggle to get to that point. As of, in previous media things, I don't know if you've seen that, I heard an engine in Q2 of Sonoma, all the way back in Sonoma, and then we managed to get to the final on the backup, went to Pomona, and we tried a different one because it seemed like that backup wasn't really performing at the level that they wanted, and Greg was doing everything he can to fix the original, and it just couldn't. We just struggled, and it's not because the engines were bad. I think there was a multiple things that we were struggling with. But we came back to the shop, we put it, fixed everything, regrouped, got back together. We went back out there, and it was okay for Q1. It wasn't great, but it was okay, and we were making progress, and it was getting better. And then Q2 in Topeka, it just something broke and it let go, right at the finish line, and it ended up being kind of almost, I won't say a good thing that it happened, but it the spare, the other spare that we put in just kind of matched all the setup. All the planets aligned and everything came together. And when I was going up there, 5th pair of Q3, I was thinking, I'm watching everybody going, the field just keeps getting quicker and quicker and quicker, and I keep going farther back. I think I was 14th, and I'm like, it's like everybody's outrunning me. I was like, hope I at least go like 63 or something, so I can jump up a few spots and maybe even get into the top half. And it left, and I'm rolling through the gears. I hit 3rd gear, and it just kind of like put me back a little bit more than the other engine was. And I was like, oh, this thing's this thing's motoring through there. And I go through the lights and everything, it sounded great. It felt like a great run. I make the corner, and they direct me to go to the left side where all the media is, and then they, you did it something good when they open the door for you. That was something that I've noticed. So they opened the door and they're like, "Nice run, you went to number 1," and I was like genuinely shocked. I did not think that I was going to run that good, especially first run on a different engine. So and then to see everybody just kind of pile right into that same spot. I mean, the top 14 cars are within 400s. I mean, it was, you could pick up 5,000 and pick up 5 spots. It was just insanely tight.
Amazing and entertaining. Like, to me, again, if we have, there's so many conversations on the starting line. Isn't this great? Yeah. If you like drag racing, this is pretty great. If you like pro stock, it's pretty great. And we just had a great entertaining race, very challenging. So first round, you got to go up against another KB powered car, which was for the most part your day, with exception of the semifinal battle. We'll get to it. But, Michael Heiner and Derek Kramer, and they brought on Adam now. There's additional manpower, brain power over there, which I think is a very smart move for those guys. They're moving in the right direction. How'd you handle that? You were 19 on the starting line, 662.4207, and you were able to get around it. But just talk about preparing for a car that what's under the hood. Yeah, I mean, after Q3, I felt really good about my car. I felt like I had a real good chance. So I was like, I know I got a real good car, because especially, I looked at the run, it was faster than I thought it was going to be, and I still saw a lot left in it. And I'm like, okay, we got a really good car for Sunday, but I know what's in that car over there, and I know Derek can. I mean, there's been multiple times where he's absolutely came out of nowhere and just drilled Greg on the tree and beat him on a hole shot, and I definitely wasn't going to take him lightly, especially, with Michael Heiner. I know Michael's, he's not scared to go for it. As he says, Derek's got a mouth guard. Right.
He's not afraid to go for it. And I know that Adam over there, he's real smart as well. They've both won many races. So I know what they're capable of. I know what the engine's capable of. I know what Derek's capable of, and I wasn't going to take him easy. So I know that being in the left lane, I had lane choice. So I just kind of went up there and treated him like anybody else and just did the best I could. It made a really nice run. Went nice and straight. It was real hooked up. I mean, it didn't feel like it was overly aggressive or anything, but it was a good solid run.
And we're talking about Adam Hornberger, by the way, who was with Alan Johnson. Sometimes first names, not everybody knows the first name. Hey, JT says, what is he saying? He's saying, have fun driving Rob's Mustang in Seattle. What's that? Oh, yeah. What are you doing?
So my older brother's racing sprint cars this week for the ISCS Week of Speed. It's a sportsman sprint car series out on the West Coast. And Friday and Saturday, he's racing at Elma, Grays Harbor Raceway in Washington, and I'm going to fly out Friday morning and help him out Friday and Saturday at Elma. And then Sunday, a friend of mine is bringing his car to Seattle for me to race Super Pro. And I'm going to go hang out at just do a normal local points race out in Seattle, especially because, NHRA didn't get to go out there this year.
So if you are in the Northwest, just take a second. I'm going to big you up a little bit, Dallas. I know you probably don't feel this way about yourself, but where else is a pro stock Camping World Series race winner and the most recent race winner able to, you can go, if you're a super pro racer in the Pacific Northwest, you could go beat the most recent Camping World Series pro stock winner in Super Pro round 1 if you get next to Dallas, maybe, or Dallas, you'll take him out. But I think that is awesome. That's the kind of thing that, wow, if it happened to me back in the day, that would be awesome. That's a reason to go to Pacific Raceways this weekend. To me, I think. So, all right, second round, you got to go up against Hartford. Same situation as with Derek Kramer and Michael Heiner, right? KB customer cars. You know what's up. Hartford got off the starting line. He was really good he beat Aaron Stanfield, first guy to beat Aaron Stanfield in a couple of races. First round, 006. He's 014 on you, but they went in the wrong direction in terms of performance, and you got around him by a small margin. Yeah, I count that as my they're all pretty lucky rounds, but that one was really lucky because one thing that helped me out is I was able to get lane choice. I had a nice clean run first round, and I got lane choice because we just felt that not that the right lane was bad. I just felt like the left lane seemed to be just a little bit better. And I went up against it. And I kind of tightened everything up. I was planning on, really tighten it up against Hartford because he
even the last time I raced him, he beat me. So I was kind of out for revenge. I think that was the first time I had raced Derek. So, I didn't have I had a clean record, clean slate against him, but, I'm down against Matt. So it just puts that little bit of extra, extra motivation. And I kind of, I went in there and I just missed it. Sometimes you go in there and you just miss it. And I guess I should say it's a good thing, when I miss it, I'm 26. So that was still somewhat good.
Well, exactly.
But I know I definitely knew I didn't get all of it, and I could, see it right when I left. But, fortunately, Rob Downing and Dave Connolly and everybody at KB, car made a phenomenal run, and I hit all my shifts right, and it went nice and straight. And I was able to, as I hit fifth gear, I kind of glanced over. I took my blinders, when I started the season, Jason told me I had to run blinders, to keep from looking over. And he said, you at least got to run at least 3 races with blinders. And I was good with that. I wasn't very comfortable looking over or anything like that. So, but come Sonoma, I was pretty comfortable. I took the blinders back off. So, and I can get a good visual of what's going on next to me and still be able to drive with what's in front of me. So as I'm going through the gears, I can see Matt, and it almost looks like he's ahead. It's really tight. And I hit fifth gear, and I just kind of glanced over him, just give him a little glance. And I couldn't tell who was in front. So I just stared at the finish line and prayed my wind light came on and it popped on. And that was definitely a big weight right there. Cause I know he's fast. He's won races this year. He's really good on the tree, and I know he got me. So I was just glad that I had the horsepower that day.
There you go. And the reaction times, though, looking at your lights on the day, 19:26 when you missed it. Now you got to go up against Troy Coughlin Jr., part of this awesome youth movement that's happening in pro stock. And, Aaron Stanfield, is he a reaction time guy? I think he is, right? And Troy is a reaction time guy once he gets acclimated. Do you consider yourself a reaction time guy? You came up as someone who works on the car, right? Like I think of the Warren Johnson mold, and I think of even Craig, whereas Erica is a reaction time person. She's a driver. You're kind of an interesting hybrid because as much as you can do it all on the car, and you do, your lights are pretty good. Obviously, in the semis and the final, 006 and Trip Zip. Talk about that. Do you consider yourself the kind of person that wants to, and should be able to go 00 on command?
Yeah. Anybody that knows me, obviously I'm racing this weekend. I can't get enough of racing, even bracket racing. So that's just the bracket racing side of me coming out and the competitiveness. Anytime I go up there, if I'm, worse than 20, I don't feel like I did my job. It's, the engine guy's job to make the engine run the best. It's the crew chief's job to make the car run the best. And I feel like it's the driver's job to have the best reaction time he can and hit all of his shifts and stage right, do all the stuff that the driver does. So, that's just kind of part of being the driver. So if I'm, worse than I thought I was, and I try to, make sure I correct whatever I felt like I did wrong, if I wasn't focused or if I staged wrong or whatever it was. Sometimes, we're all human. We miss it sometimes. But when I came up against Troy, I know he's a bracket racer just like me. He races big money races. I've raced with him, out at, Galot or Bristol or, some of these big money races. So I know what he's capable of. I've seen him be 00 in a pro stock car, which is not easy to do. So I wasn't, and then plus he had the fastest car all weekend. And, it wasn't by a little bit. First round, I think he pretty much crushed everybody. So I know that his car is very, very fast. I felt like when I beat Matt and I watched Troy on his single because of the burn down goofiness, when I saw that I had lane choice for the semis, I felt like my confidence just went way up. I'm like, okay, I got lane choice. I'm still in my good lane. I'm still, in my comfort zone. Everything's good. So I felt like I had a good chance. And then we were moving to first pair, which he hadn't been, and I had been closer to the front all day. So I felt like, that was going to just kind of throw another variable in there. So when I went up against him, I felt like I screwed up a little bit. Staging these pro stock cars are very difficult. It's really difficult to tell exactly when they start rolling. So you kind of have to feel them start rolling, and then when they start rolling, it's almost like they want to speed up, like the clutch grabs more. So you have to kind of shove it back in a little bit to keep it nice and slow. And I just kind of missed it a little bit, and it got going a little too fast and I took a little bit of a bite, but and with how quick these trees are, you don't have time to think about that. So I just tried to hit the tree as best I could, and I got away with it with the 006. And I think in reality, I was more like a 15 or something like that. I think I knocked 10th thou or so out of, by staging. But the car was, that was definitely, I'm going to say, as much as it could handle as far as aggressiveness. They weren't, Rob and Dave didn't back the car down really at all for that run. They wanted to make sure that we didn't, slow ourselves out of it. So when I hit the tree and started running through the shifts and it was able to fight it back over to the groove, it made another glance over there and I couldn't even, hardly see Troy. So it was like, I figured he had some issues, probably shit worse than I did. So that was a good feeling knowing I'm going to my second final in 3 races.
Well, okay. So what about the, the before, after, spoken with Aaron, we spoke with Erica on a regular basis, the elite KB thing? There's respect. Greg and Richard and Erica are hanging on the starting line down there in Sonoma. They're talking, they're open, but they have been celebrating so overtly every time they beat Greg and stop him from tying Warren Johnson. Like, they are loving it. And it's hard to not feel this thing. And as much as the McGahays are involved in a thing with Elite too, Aaron just got here and he's, him and his dad, they got their own engine shop, but he drives for Elite. And that's it. And he feels it. And it's his job to win for them. And that's it. And he feels it. And he's in it. You are a KB guy. When you're in the pits and you got 2 KB cars versus 2 Elite cars, and you're setting up the battle, and it's you and Kyle versus Erica and Troy, what is that like? Can you honestly tell me it's like, oh, we're just racing anybody else, or we're racing ourselves, or we don't think about that? What is it like for that matchup, especially as the young guys? You haven't been here, you haven't been in the car fighting the fight, feeling the rivalry for 10 years like Greg has. What is it like for you guys?
For me, I'm just trying to do, I guess, not to sound selfish or anything. I'm just mainly focused on me. Obviously, if they need any help, I'll jump right in. But as far as that, having 2 KB cars versus 2 Elite cars, the day could either go extremely well or it could go really bad in a hurry. So, they are very fast. They're a great team. With between the 2 teams, we feel like 12 of the pro stock cars. So I know they have mountains of data and they have very, very fast cars and very good drivers. So I know that we're going to have our work cut out for them, our work cut out for us anytime we go up against them. So you just try to make sure you do everything perfectly and you just stay as focused as you can and try not to, back yourself out of it or trick yourself or, talk yourself out of doing something that you wish you do. You just need to just go up there with what you know how to do and do it the best you can. I think the battle between KB and Elite is great. It, we don't hate each other or anything. We have a lot of respect for each other. But, anytime you get 2 KB cars in the final, it's no matter what happens, it's a win in my eyes. Even if Kyle got around me and got his first win, I was still going to be just probably, I won't say just as excited, but I was going to be, excited. 2 KB cars, that's how we plan the weekend to go.
Amazing. And then, of course, Kid Chaos, like I want to see him get a win too. Like I've been following this kid for a long time, and his dad, Kenny, has been really good to drag racing over the years, including WFO Radio. And he's a great kid, right? Like he's really, there's nobody that I know has said anything negative about Kyle Koretsky. Like just a nice kid, and he's good on the starting line, and he got around Erica and he beat her on a whole shot. It wasn't like a 00 whole shot, but a whole shot's a whole shot nonetheless. So you're going up against him, final round, trip zip, which there's luck. It's an accident, but the racing gods, they're on your side, right? There was a reason every 000 reaction time is too close. Nobody plans for that.
No,
but it didn't come up 001 red. It came up trip zip, and you went on to victory. So walk us through the final round, your second career win, and a great momentum builder for the stretch run.
Yeah. Racing the final, against Kyle in the final, it's great. We're both basically cheering each other on, telling each other good luck in the pits. It's like no matter what happens, it's going to be a good day. But I got thrown over to the right lane because I did a poor job staging in the semi. So, I get thrown over to the right lane. It's my first time in the right lane all day. I wasn't as good on the tree in the right lane in qualifying as I was that I felt like in the left. So I had that kind of going in my mind too, but I knew that I was real, focused and everything. So just kind of did everything, as I know how to do, burnout and everything, staging. And then I just tried to slow myself down a little bit staging. And I think I slowed myself down a little too much. And then I ended up taking another, it wasn't as big of a bite as the semis, but it was enough that, I noticed it. So whenever it's enough that you notice it, that, it's considerable to make a difference. So, but it happened to be that I was just a little bit light on the pedal, and it was a little bit long of a tree, which I tend to hit a little bit better, I feel like. And it all just kind of came together. When I left, I knew it was good. I didn't feel, I didn't know it was a 000, but the run was not very good. It basically blew the tires off. In the semis when it was shaking, that was about as much aggressiveness as it could have taken. The final was not the same kind of shaking. It was just spinning. And then because it was spinning, the shift light kind of comes on early. So when I pulled into second, it just absolutely grabs the engine by the throat and pulls it down. So it just sounds like a horrible run. And all I'm thinking is, I'm just ready for Kyle to just drive around me. But I'm thinking he was a little bit on the aggressive side as well. Watching the video, the car's kind of darting around a little bit. So, but going through there, I'm running through the gears, and I glance over at him again, and I can see he's running me down, and I'm just hoping I just don't run out of racetrack. And I got to as soon as I got to the finish line, he gets around, a wind light comes on, and it's just pure excitement from that point.
That is awesome. And yeah, when you win the race, the weight, pressure, all that comes off, mm-hmm. and you have now won 2 NHRA Camping World Pro Stock Series races in this season. Just amazing what we're seeing in Pro Stock. Aaron's got 3, you've got 2. We're seeing a sea change. Let me ask you about Greg, the leader of the team. What's he like with this deal going on? Like he's like standing outside the door of immortality, and he's knocking, he's running mm-hmm. well, he's driving well. There was a period he lost some races with bad lights, but he turned that around. He's just on the short end of tough races in Pro Stock. That happens a lot. Mm-hmm. What's it been like to be on the ride in the team?
Greg's been really good. He's dying to get that next win. It was kind of like when he went on that kind of dry spell for a few years, and he was just like dying. I think it was the 75 win mark. He was just trying to get that 75 win for, I don't know, like 2 years. He went on a big dry spell. And then when he finally got that, it was just like, the pressure went off, and then he went on a roll and won a bunch. And I feel like this is kind of that same situation. He can get just close enough, but he's just always just a little bit short. I really thought he was going to get it in Norwalk, and Erica. They both had great lights, and they both made awesome runs, and it was just came out on the short end of a good race. And Greg's good. He's been doing it long enough that he knows not to let anything like that really bother him or get him down. He's just going to keep trying to do the best he can and try to crush everybody just like he knows how. So Greg's I love Greg. I love hanging out with Greg. He's great to be around.
Yeah, no, he is. He is. And I wonder, do people, and this is the challenge, this is why WFO exists. And Greg, we got many Greg interviews. He's one of the best when it comes to just like letting you know. He'll tell you. He'll tell mm-hmm. you what it is. He's never hit anything as far as I know. And if he is, then he's really good at it. And that's good too. That's good stuff. All right, before I let you go, championship. I feel like you're a genuine championship threat. I think going into the year, I felt like it was the Greg and Erica show, that they had the 2 best cars and they were the 2 most experienced drivers and they had the best history. And that opinion has been obliterated by Aaron Stanfield and you and even a couple others, because I think Hartford's in the mix. They're going mm-hmm. around. This could be a year where you win the championship. Maybe, I don't know, maybe without winning a race, right? You go to the semis, every race in the countdown, the 6-race countdown, like who knows what's possible. Oh, yeah. But I'm noticing some swagger out of you. Like, I think that you think you're ready to go win a championship and that you are right in the middle of it. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm kind of, I mean, like you were saying earlier, we got really good momentum going into the last race before the countdown. So as long as we keep that momentum going into the countdown, these last few races, I've started really making bigger moves on the clutch and trying to, tighten up my lights a little bit. I went through a period there where I was struggling a little bit in the performance, but I feel like we've kind of got that handled. And the car's working great. It's driving great. My shifts, I don't even think about shifting anymore. It's just like, my brain's connected to my arm. It's all one robot function that just goes on its own, and I don't have to think about it. And going into the countdown feeling, with this much confidence and this much momentum, I really don't see why there wouldn't be a reason why I can't be a top championship contender. But I know that the luck can run out at any time, and there's a lot of good cars. I mean, I could, there's any one of the 10 cars could easily have a few, really good races and some luck thrown in and easily steal it from anybody. When you get a reset this close to the end and make the reset this tight, I mean, within one race, you can go from second all the way back to eighth. It's possible. So, we definitely need to be on the top of our game at every race. I remember back in one of the first countdowns we did, Greg was one of the first ones that I was with him. Greg said, he goes, you can't win the championship in one race during the countdown, but you certainly can lose it. So, we definitely need to be on our game at all times.
I agree. All right, Derek's been wanting to know about the cooling system in the Pro Stock car. So can you describe the cooling system in a Pro Stock car? Like, what's in there?
It's pretty basic. It's just a small radiator and a water pump. I mean, it runs just like any normal bracket car or engine. It's just a normal. I believe most teams probably have a remote water pump that's attached to the radiator or some sort like that. So. But the radiators in these are very small. I mean, they only hold a couple gallons for the whole system. So it does not take very long for a Pro Stock car to get hot.
Well, that was going to be my question. I want to know as best as, like, I don't want to ask you stuff that you can't tell me, but like, going to the starting line, what temperature, like pulling into the water box, what temperature range is normal, would you say? And then after a run, what temperature range is normal? Just so we can see like the scope of what it is where you want to be. Can you tell us that?
I think I probably can. If not, then they'll let me know that I can't tell you that, but it'll be
just
too late.
Fudge it by a couple of numbers one way or another off of your stuff. Give us like
generally most teams I would say are, around 100 degrees when they leave the starting line, I would bet. I mean, pretty much everybody has a chiller that we all chill the cars before we go up there. Everybody has their own little what they think is best. Some people chill it for a long period. Some people chill it for a short period. So everybody has their own opinions on what works and what works the best, and what temperature. And they'll gain during the course of a run, they'll gain, 30, 40, sometimes 50 RPM, 50 degrees. So they get hot really quick, and they definitely do. They don't have a whole lot of cooling to them. There is a fan, but it's mainly just to get the water temp back down so we can service it at the end, when we get back to the pit.
Interesting. Austin says, hey, when's the Elko coming back out? What's up with that?
The Elko hasn't been out near as much as it has in past years. It's mainly just because, before when I'm working on a car and I'm always at the track, as you can ask any real driver out there, we're all terrible spectators. So if we're out at the track and we're not racing, it just kind of kills us. So it used to be any off weekend I had, any chance I could, I would drive no matter what. I would take the car out to any race. Well, now that I'm driving the Pro Stock car, it kind of takes that itch away, so to speak. So I've kind of just been saving the Elko for the big money races when I have a good weekend off. So as far as when the next time it is, we have a bunch of races coming up all at once. So it may even be the Thanksgiving race at Piedmont that I normally go to before it comes out. But I'll probably find a weekend in between to pull it out there.
Slot car racing, Cody Spears. Ask him about slot car racing.
Yeah, that was another thing. We bracket race slot cars. There's several tracks around here, and a lot of local bracket racers around here, also slot car race. What's good about slot car racing is not only do we race on Wednesday, so I can hit it in between races, but anytime the weather's bad or it rains out or something, we usually all head to the slot car track and have a big money race. I mean, there's slot car races throughout the year that pay $10,000 to win. So it's
whoa. I was just gonna make fun of you, and then you changed me around real quick. 10 grand. I was just gonna ask about Mrs. Dallas. Like, oh my gosh, she's obviously very tolerant and loves racing.
Mhm.
All of this is going on now that you've piled slot car racing on the top of it. But then you just turn me around. 10 G's. Hey, I'm going to try to win $10,000. It's like a different deal. Chris says Dallas is also championship level on Xbox. Is that true?
Yeah, when you turn all the settings so it's really easy to hit home runs on Major League Baseball, then you can hit a lot of home runs in one season.
There it is. Earl wants to know. Earl runs multiple things out there. You're not allowed to chill the fuel, right? Do you chill the fuel or just the block?
I don't know if any teams do chill fuel. I don't know if there's really any performance. I know that like an injected nitro car chills the fuel, but nitro is a different animal from race, leaded race fuel. As far as if there is any performance advantage to it, I don't know if there would be, because as a normal tonal ram, just the fuel going into the tonal ram kind of chills everything down, and it's pretty cold going in, since there's no air blower, turbo or blower to heat it up. It's usually pretty cold going in.
Excellent. Cameron says you're pro level at cornhole as well, and we'll just drop it. Like, I'm jealous now. You're talented at everything. The guy, slot cars, bracket racing, pro stock. Get out of here. What is a bummer to me, though, is that we're not going to see you in Brainerd. Your next race is the U.S. Nationals. I'm very excited about it. Going in, pro stock is wide open. To fans of Dallas, share this show. Share it out there on your social so everybody who doesn't know Dallas can get to know him, and he can make a bunch of great fans. And I hope that some of our listeners go out and see you at Pacific Raceways. I know we got a lot of fans out there in the Northwest, and root you on in Super Pro. Like, that is cool, what it's all about. Can watch you go through that process and have a little fun on a Saturday night. Dallas, thank you so much for coming on the show. All the best to you. Congratulations on the win. I'll see you in Indy, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you, Joe. And thanks for everybody for watching.
There you go. I agree. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for logging on. Appreciate you, Dallas. See you soon.
See ya.
There he goes, Dallas Glenn with us here on WFO Radio. And Jim, exactly my thoughts. What an awesome guy. Pro stock brackets, slot cars. Well, you know what he reminds me of is he reminds me of me and my group of friends back when we used to bracket race, except, much better and more talented. But just pure love of the game, pure love of the game. Bracket racer, that's what he's doing, but he has a chance to work on a pro stock car, and he does. And whether it be slot cars or whatever, he's competitive. He's very competitive. And I can't help but think that, wow, pro stock, new direction coming on right now. We got a new direction in pro stock with Aaron Stanfield and Dallas Glenn. And when you guys get to see Kyle Koretsky a couple of times, you're going to love the kid, because he's an intense, I know you've probably seen him before, but little interviews, little snippets. The WFO winter view is going to make all the difference in the world. And we're going to have him on before Reading, by the way. We're going to try to get Kid Chaos on, because that's his home race. And let these guys get comfortable. Like, who can show who they really are and what they really are capable of immediately. It's rare, and they are. Imagine how cool they're going to be when they're comfortable after having been here a while and knowing and proving that they're good and they're talented. Like, they're getting the opportunity to prove themselves. What's it going to be like after they've proven themselves? It's going to be really awesome. And I'm just so excited about pro stock. And hopefully pro stock will grow some fans after this past week. And, to Mason and Bruno, they did what they did, and it didn't work out for them. But part of me thinks that they did what they did for the good of the class. Whether it worked out exactly that way, everyone is talking about pro stock, good, bad, or otherwise. Everyone is talking about it. And that's what you have to have. You have to have conversations about the category. We talk about the burn down. We talk about Dallas. We talk about the trip zip light in the final. You talk about Greg, what's going on. There's a lot of stuff going on in Pro Stock that's compelling storylines. And that's what you need. And then maybe fans will come or maybe they won't. That's up to them to decide. I said it yesterday. I said it on the Power Hour. The most popular, look at this guy. Scott, Pickle Rick, says, you were great on the Power Hour last night. Thank you very much. I don't know if I was good or I was great or I was delirious. I was definitely tired. I'd been on the air like 4 different times, too much that day. But when they invited me, I say yes, because that's what I do. I try to say yes as often as I can. And vanilla ice cream is the most popular flavor of ice cream. But it doesn't make it the best flavor. It doesn't make it the best. That's for people to decide. And that's why there's a zillion. It used to be there were like 3 or 4 flavors, right? The Neapolitan, you get chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. And that's it. And then people decide, wait a second, man, we're going to make up all these crazy flavors, dream flavors. Ben & Jerry's comes in and they start kicking out all these unbelievable things, fish food. And what? And people, it's probably not the biggest selling one, but it's definitely one of the best flavors. And that's how you got to look at your categories in NHRA drag racing. And I don't want to compare nitro to vanilla ice cream either. I was using the analogy to talk about other stick and ball sports that people follow what's easiest often, or the most available, or the easiest available. Flip on the TV and there's something on and they watch it and then they like it. We can grow. And it's going to be because of guys like Dallas and Aaron and Erica and Greg and, Bruno and Mason. What they did, they brought a big spotlight onto Pro Stock. The only bummer is that there's no Pro Stock this week. That's a bummer, but it will rekindle in Indy, and Bruno's going to be racing in Indy, and I can't wait to see it. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. Tom says, awesome interview. Thank you very much. Great interview. Everybody loving Dallas. I agree too. Please share the show. That's it. Share the show. Like, I create the show and I put the show out to the people who are subscribed to the show on YouTube. Subscribe, click the bell, WFO Radio TV. You can follow us on Twitter, WFO Radio. I put it up on WFOradio.com. We get a lot of coverage from the people out there on various social, but ultimately it helps when you share the show, copy the link, send it to your friends. Hey, you like drag racing? Watch this. Hey, bracket racing buddies, here's someone to root for in Pro Stock because he's like us. What's Earl say? Good talk or bad? It's talk. It spurs interest. Nobody likes vanilla. It depends on what you do with it and if there's nothing else available, but I would like to get a little more creative than the vanilla. Tom, thanks for what you do for the sport. Get your comments in the comments section, and I'm going to tell you about the people who make it possible for me to do this. Because honestly, I would be, working a 9 to 5 in between weeks. I probably couldn't do my NHRA gig without this, and this meaning the sponsors. And we're going to be reaching out to new sponsors here as we get ready for that time of season. So if you would like to see your company's name mentioned on WFO Radio during the course of the 2022 season, reach out to me, Joe at WFOradio.com. Like Marvin Rodak, RodaksCoffeeandGrills.com. Oh, man, let me get that comment off of Marvin's logo, right? Listen, coffee. Coffee is life. Coffee is life. You need it. Why not make it great? Call Marvin, 817-924-6821, the dramatic read. Samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. You're looking for a career. You're a relatively young person. Maybe you're already in a career. Maybe you're one of these millions of people looking to switch jobs. Don't like your job. Don't like the way you're treated at your job. Don't like the fact that your job's not doing something. You're not passionate about it. Samtech, everybody over there is chasing something that they want to do. Go tell them you heard about it on WFO, by the way. Total Seal Piston Rings, TotalSeal.com, Hartford, Keith Jones, Lake Speed, 40% of your engines friction comes from your piston rings. If you're still using the same stuff you used back in the day, you're making a grave error. There's new stuff that's better and lasts longer and is more powerful. TotalSeal.com. And Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Several of our listeners now have gone to Frank's school and we're commenting in the commenting section about when you do the Dragster Adventure, you're there already. You can get extra runs. You got to do this, folks. You got to do it. You got the money. Treat yourself. It makes a great gift. Treat yourself. It's time to prioritize yourself and your friends and your family with a little Frank Hawley's experience. Plus our friends at Nitro Fish and our own WFO radio store. Hey, face coverings are back. You know it. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to go into why. You know it. There are some places that you need them. They're going to be mandatory in some places. They're going to be mandatory in a lot of places if the numbers keep changing. You know, it's not even about what we want. It's just a statement of fact. And when that day comes, I would love if you would rock the WFO colors on your mug. And that way you could tell everybody what it's all about. WFOradio.com. Just $10, and I throw in some stickers and extra bonus stuff. For $10, you pay on PayPal. Super easy. WFOradio.com. And then a shout out to our Patreons, the patrons who make it possible by paying a monthly stipend for added bonus content. WFOradio.com, the Patreons. They get to watch the Ignition Show, and they get all kinds of perks. They're part of the WFO advisory board, right? And when I have a question like, should we ban somebody from on the show? And I go to them. They're the ones that get to answer those kind of questions. It is great stuff. All right, let's see what the final comments are before we get on out of here. This guy, he's on Twitch. Oh my gosh, we got a Twitch listener. There's one. Finally, we got somebody watching on Twitch. Anybody out there in the racing world know what Twitch is? It's the gamers. They're gaming. They're on there. I think it was the Xbox mention that got us the Twitch viewer, right? And so I've been putting the show on Twitch for a while, and I haven't really been acknowledging Twitch because Twitch seems like there's people on there from like the dark web, and it's a little scary. The logo is a little rough and makes me feel funny. But we got somebody on Twitch. Nice setup to you, sir. Scott says, wrestlers are the only people who can ignore the officials. Yes. And Wrestlers it's more of a show. Definitely athletic. If you watch that You Can't Kill David Arquette documentary the next time you're on American or a plane, very interesting about the wrestling. Very interesting. Greg Norris, great interview, great guy. Monica, great interview, safe travels. Yeah, Friday morning, very, very early. Heading to Brainerd. Steve and Glenn, another great show. Hey, good job, Steve, with the kid. Appreciate you. And that'll do it. Thank you to everyone out there. Again, John Force yesterday, that is in the archive. I highly recommend you listen. He gave a couple of great anecdotes and stories. And, John puts it out there, and I appreciate it. And Alan Reinhardt, also from the airport, was great. Lots of talk about the burn down. Lots of talk about Brittany. Lots of talk about Capco. What's wrong with the Capco team? It's been 2 races since they won. Oh, my goodness. See at BIR, go Ron Caps, says this guy. Yeah, the zoo. Oh, boy. Am I going to go into the zoo? Yeah, I'll make an appearance, but this is not the year that I'm going to be spending too much time out there. But they'll be out there. And I love BIR. I love Brainerd because the race is the show. The race is the show. Everybody is there for NHRA drag racing and the zoo. But the zoo exists because of the drag race, as far as I understand it. And everybody is diehard and passionate, and they love the sport, and they watch WFO, and they love Caps. What did he say? John talked about psychological foreplay. Yeah, psychological foreplay. Sounds like a band. Psychological foreplay. Smart man, reason the zoo. Remember, I'm the only guy somebody tried to fight me in the zoo a few years back. And I never understood that. We're in the zoo, everybody's having a good time, and one guy out of nowhere, I think it was because I was surrounded by beautiful ladies, he just got mad at me and he wanted to fight me. And I learned, if anything, don't be a zoosh. Don't be a zoosh. When you're in the zoo and you act a certain way, you're a zoosh. So don't do it. Don't be it. Rule number 1, ending the show on this note, be safe in the zoo, have a good time, see you at the races, and don't be a zoosh. WFO. We'll see you out there in Brainerd.